Now you ask me some questions.
So I just wanted to know, what would you say to somebody who'd just recently been diagnosed?
Oh, I have to think about that. Somebody who's just recently been diagnosed. I would say um, the most important thing that I've personally learned is the need to educate myself about the diagnosis, um, to really equip myself with an understanding about how that diagnosis relates to life. Um, because in learning about the diagnosis, you also learn how to cope with the diagnosis and cope with life and navigate life. When I got diagnosed, I knew nothing about what the word dementia even meant. My mother had dementia. I didn't know what dementia meant. Um, we were led to believe that she was just getting old. And then when she did pass away, the word did come into the equation, but we didn't digest it, the definition of the word. Um, Education essential, if I can pronounce that word. Education, and education becomes like, it becomes so therapeutic. Um, for me, you see, education, before, when I got diagnosed, my concept of someone who got dementia was someone who lacked mental capacity, and somebody who had a certain kind of image, i.e. someone who was pretty fragile and frail. I now know that that's not correct. And knowing that has also given me an understanding, despite the diagnosis, I can still enjoy life, and I can still interact with life, and I can still feel, if somebody doesn't know I've got a diagnosis, I won't be defined by the diagnosis, and I'll be accepted just based upon me. So I'm learning to be me.
Hello, I'm Lorraine Brown. I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in August 2014. I was 61 then, and I worked for NHS, but unfortunately, because of my dementia, it was felt that I was unfit to carry on with my work. Anyway, why I'm here talking to you now is because when I was first diagnosed, there was absolutely nothing for people that had just been diagnosed. The shock of it, disbelief, devastation, nobody to talk to. What I do now is go to my local memory group, post-diagnostic group, and I actually give an account of what it was like when I was first diagnosed. And the people there that have been newly diagnosed, it gives them hope, and there's evidence of that because they come up to me afterwards and thank me for making their world right again. Hi, I'm Teresa Davis, and I was diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's and vascular dementia when I was 59. I've been involved with the Deep Network for a few years now, and I think we're the experts by experience, people living with dementia, and I think the professionals need to listen to the voices of people with dementia, because we know what it's like and we know what we need. We don't want to be told what we need. We want to say what we need. And I think the professionals need to listen to that, and then maybe they'll get it right in the end.
I'm Sheila Robinson, and 9 years ago I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. I think I can best describe what I would have liked to have heard when I'd just been diagnosed by telling you a story about meeting somebody recently who'd actually been diagnosed that week with early onset dementia. And she was in that state of shock that I recognised so well. I was doing an Alzheimer's Society stall at a carers convention. And I talked to her for ages. In fact, we went and had a coffee. And at the end of the day, she came back to the stall and said, "Everybody else gave us leaflets, but you gave me hope." And I think it's that needing to know that, in fact, okay, it's a devastating diagnosis, but life can be really good with dementia. I don't like living well with dementia because sometimes it's awful, but it can be very good as well.
Hi, after I was diagnosed, the biggest turning point for me was being introduced to James McKillop, who was a founder member of a campaigning group in Scotland, and I looked around the group and they were laughing and smiling, and I was thinking, surely they can't have a diagnosis of dementia. Yes, you can. Dementia doesn't stop you from laughing, smiling and crying, because that's part of life. It's how we live and deal with dementia. So if you get an opportunity, I would say join a group of people like-minded like yourself, or like Deep or Dementia Diaries, where you can get this inspiration, this hope, and get on with your life.
Hello, I'm Frances and I live in the Brecon Beacons. I thought everyone around me was going crazy, but it turned out that it was me. I'd got dementia, and I found that out about, I think it's about 6 years ago. The thing is that by the time I went for the actual diagnosis thing, I didn't really know there was, quite a lot going wrong, because my husband had told me. And to my unutterable horror, I failed all the tests that they do, where they ask you a lot of ridiculous questions, and I couldn't believe that I couldn't answer them. In fact, I got so irritated by the whole thing that I learned the Addenbrooke test off by heart, so that next time I got tested I scored very high marks, which was fine, and I did score high marks on it. But last time I had one, I actually asked for a different test because I actually wanted to know what my real score was. So I owned up, and I was given one with questions that I couldn't answer. But I'm no longer stressed by that. But at the moment when they say, well, you're very sorry, you've got an incurable illness, and it's it's going to deteriorate and all this depressing stuff. I think my husband and I left feeling that the end of the world had come, everything was going to alter, and overnight I was going to change from being me into a person who just sat there drooling in a corner. And the thought of it was so depressing that I remember at the time feeling that I actually wanted to make that call to Switzerland and go, because what the hell was the point? And I didn't want to sit there for 10, 20 years rotting away and costing my family a fortune. Anyway, at the time they'd handed me loads of bits of paper and said, oh, you can do this, you can do that. And I didn't do any of them. In fact, we probably chucked them out. But I was volunteering at the hospital on another thing, and the person that came to do the evaluation was from the Dementia Matters in Paris, and she said, you've got to come to the centres. I went to a centre, really anxious and nervous, and Rachel Niblock from Deep was there talking about the diaries, and I did a diary on the spot then and there, and it's just changed my life. Now, if at the point of diagnosis somebody had said to me, there's a life and you can have loads of fun, it'll be different, but it is a really good life, and you will enjoy the company of other people in the same condition as you are. You will get huge amounts of pleasure and comradeship and a feeling that you can do anything, and it's just probably the most wonderful thing I ever did for myself. So if anybody would need help, I wish I could be there to point them at Deep and help them get over that initial hurdle and find this new and wonderful life.
Right, my name's Keith. I have dementia, and I've just been away with the Deep group over this for the past few days, and it's been so important to meet people that are like ourselves. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, with dementia, a lot of people think that we're mad, and we're not. It's something that goes on. But I think all the meetings that you go to and that, I think sometimes it would be really good if you could get include a person that has dementia to sit on your panels or whatever you call them, and just listen, from our point of view, instead of just listening, just looking what the world looks at us, so it would be good if we could be included. And I said, yeah, thanks.
My name's Wendy Mitchell. I'm 58, I'm 63 years old, and I was diagnosed with dementia at the age of 58. We've recently started our Good Life with Dementia course as part of my peer support group, Minds and Voices. The reason why it's so unique is because it's been designed by people living with dementia, but also delivered by people living with dementia, along with our enabler, Damien. And we found that the reason for its uniqueness lies in the fact that we chose the subjects that needed to be on the course. And on week 1, we asked participants, our students, what they would like answered, what subjects they would like to talk about. And we were so relieved to find everything that we put on the agenda was part of what they wanted to be included. So that's in fact the uniqueness of it, because we weren't being told, we weren't being spoken to and given information that professionals thought we might want. We were giving information about what we knew people with dementia would want, because we'd been there, done that, and worn the t-shirt.